The relay satellite was not supposed to exist anymore. It had been catalogued as space debris centuries ago, its orbit decaying, its batteries long dead. Yet on the edge of the Sol system, amid drifting wreckage of forgotten wars, its transmitter sparked awake. A thin whisper of static stretched across interstellar space before solidifying into words. "We are not extinct. Help us." Captain Elias Kate stared at the holographic projection above his console. The voice was human, distorted by centuries of interference, but unmistakably human. For a moment, the command deck of the Artemis went silent. Only the low hum of the ship's reactor filled the air. "Captain," said Lieutenant Aaron Day, his comms officer, "I ran triple authentication. Signal's origin matches Earth's old deep relay network. That satellite should have gone dead 400 years ago." Elias leaned back in his chair, boots planted on the floor like he was bracing against the weight of history. "And yet it's talking." Across the table, the ship's science officer, Dr. Vela Naren, shook her head. Her silver skin gleamed faintly under the deck lights, her species, the Murin, notoriously skeptical. "It's a ghost transmission. Some ancient emergency beacon reactivated. There are no humans left. The collapse finished them." Elias felt his jaw tighten. "You've never heard that voice before, Doctor. I grew up on recordings of old Earth languages. That was no ghost." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Humanity was a myth to most of them, a half-remembered civilization that once burned across the stars before vanishing into silence. The galaxy had moved on, but Elias had never accepted the finality of extinction. "Captain," Day said carefully, "Coalition Command will want this forwarded. It's above our pay grade." "Already done," Elias replied. "And I know exactly what they'll say." The official response arrived less than an hour later. A sharp-faced hologram of Admiral Karos materialized in the command deck, his expression already lined with irritation. "Cade," the Admiral said, "I reviewed the transmission. It's a corrupted echo. There are no humans left on Earth. That world is uninhabitable." Elias folded his arms. "With respect, sir, that's an assumption. The signal was clear. Someone's alive down there." Karos's voice grew harder. "Even if that were true, which it isn't, the Coalition cannot divert resources chasing ancient ghosts. We are preparing for war. The Drex Dominion has already seized 3 border systems. We can't waste ships on sentimental fantasies." Elias bit back his frustration. "Permission to investigate?" "Denied," Karos snapped. "Stay on your patrol route." "That's an order." The hologram flickered and vanished. Silence pressed heavy across the bridge. "Orders are clear," Vela said softly. Elias turned toward the viewport, where stars stretched endless and cold. Orders were clear, yes. But so was that voice. The Drex Dominion learned of the signal the same day. On the dreadnought Bloodfang, Warlord Varketh stood before his fleet commanders. His massive frame loomed over them, dark armor etched with jagged crimson sigils. "A message from the grave," he growled, voice reverberating through the chamber. "The humans claim survival." A murmur spread among the commanders. The Drex Empire's history recorded humanity as a dangerous, unpredictable species, small in number but disproportionately lethal in war. Varketh raised a clawed hand for silence. "If they remain, they will rise again. If they rise, they will threaten Dominion rule. I will not allow it." "What are your orders?" one asked. Varketh bared his fangs. "We burn the cradle. Send a fleet to Sol. If humans survive, we will erase them." Back on the Artemis, Elias gathered his senior crew in the briefing chamber. The room was small, walls lined with tactical maps and blinking data feeds, but the air carried an undercurrent of tension. "You all know what Command said," Elias began. "Ignore it. Forget it. Pretend humanity's gone for good." He paused, letting the weight of his next words settle. "I won't do that." Aaron Day frowned. "You mean to set course for Earth?" "Yes." Vela's brow ridges furrowed. "That would be desertion, Captain. Treason. The Coalition will strip you of command. Maybe, Elias admitted. But if there's even one human still alive down there, then extinction isn't finished. And I'll be damned before I sit back and let their signal die unanswered. Chief Engineer Rollin, a grizzled veteran with mechanical grease permanently under his fingernails, leaned forward. Sir, if we go dark, we can slip past patrol sensors. But once command finds out, they'll find out when we've already proven the truth, Elias said. His gaze swept across the room. I'm not forcing anyone. This is your choice. You want off this mission, I'll drop you at the next station, no questions. For a moment, silence reigned. Then Day exhaled sharply. Damn it, Captain. You know I'm in. Rollin gave a dry chuckle. I always wanted to see the old cradle. Count me. Even Vela, the skeptic, finally inclined her head. If humans do exist, it would be the greatest scientific revelation in centuries. I will go. Elias allowed a rare smile. Good. Then it's settled. Hours later, the Artemis drifted silently out of Coalition space. Systems dimmed, transponders disabled, engines running low to mask their trail. Elias stood at the helm, hands steady on the controls, as Sol's coordinates locked into the navigation grid. As the stars warped into the brilliant tunnel of faster-than-light travel, Elias whispered under his breath, words meant only for himself. Hold on, whoever you are. We're coming home. The Artemis tore out of faster-than-light space on the edge of the solar system. The familiar sun glared in the distance, diminished by centuries of absence, its light washing over fractured orbital ruins. Shattered satellites, rusting station rings, and the husks of old warships drifted like bones around a long-abandoned graveyard. Elias gripped the railing at the viewport. He had seen battlefields before, but nothing compared to this silent wreckage. Home, he murmured. The word tasted foreign, yet undeniable. Radiation levels across the inner system are high, Dr. Vela reported, scanning the feed. But survivable. Mars domes collapsed long ago. Europa stations are gone. Earth still carries breathable atmosphere, though degraded. Aaron Day leaned forward, eyes locked on his console. Captain, I'm picking up faint power signatures on Earth's surface. Deep underground. Elias's pulse quickened. Coordinates? Multiple clusters. Scattered, shielded. Vela frowned. Underground settlements could persist in theory, if they adapted. But after 4 centuries? Rollin cracked a smile beneath his beard. Guess we'll find out. The Artemis descended cautiously through the broken cloud cover. Below stretched a scarred surface, sprawling forests swallowing skeletal skyscrapers, oceans pushing into hollowed coasts, deserts where cities had once glowed. Civilization had crumbled, but the planet was far from dead. The ship set down near the ruins of what had once been New York. Jagged towers leaned at impossible angles, half submerged by overgrowth and rising tides. The skyline Elias had seen only in archived images lay buried under centuries of neglect. The landing ramp hissed open. Air rushed in, thick with salt, dust, and life. Elias stepped out first, boots crunching against cracked pavement. For a moment, the silence of Earth pressed heavy, a silence made heavier by the knowledge that billions once filled these streets. Aaron adjusted his visor. Feels like walking through a memory. Not memory, Elias corrected. Resilience. The planet healed without us. A sudden flicker of movement snapped his attention. Shapes darted across the shadows, too organized to be wildlife. Contacts! Day hissed, weapon raised. Figures emerged slowly from the ruins. They wore scavenged armor stitched from old alloys and animal hide, faces marked with ash and paint. Their eyes, though wary, burned with a fierce intelligence unmistakably human. The leader stepped forward, a woman with sharp features, her hair braided tight, a crude energy rifle slung across her back. Her voice rang clear and steady. You don't belong here. Who are you? Elias lowered his weapon, palms open. My name is Elias Cade. I'm human. From the stars. The woman's gaze hardened. Lies. Offworlders left us to rot. We buried our dead in the billions. Why return now? Elias's heart hammered. They weren't myths. They weren't extinct. They had endured. We thought no one survived. Your signal reached us. That's why we're here. She studied him for a long, tense moment, then gestured sharply. Armed survivors circled, disarming Elias's crew. Follow, she ordered. If you're truly human, our council will decide. They were led through a concealed shaft deep beneath the ruins. The tunnels stretched for miles, reinforced with scavenged steel and humming with makeshift generators. Children darted past, their laughter echoing against stone. Markets bustled with barter trade, while sentries kept a constant watch. Against all odds, humanity had built a new civilization below the earth. Elias's chest tightened as they entered the council chamber. 5 elders sat at a carved stone table, their features weathered but unbroken. The leader of the guards, the braided woman, introduced herself as Kayla, commander of the East Sector. Elder Joran, the oldest among them, fixed Elias with sharp eyes. You claim to come from beyond. Yet humanity was abandoned. Our ancestors believed Earth was forsaken. Elias stood tall. The galaxy thought you were gone. We didn't abandon you, we thought we lost you. But you endured. That signal proves it. A murmur rippled through the chamber. Some looked hopeful, others suspicious. Kayla cut in. Why return now? Why after centuries of silence? Because you're not alone anymore, Elias said firmly. And because danger follows. The Drex Dominion intercepted your signal. They're coming. The council stirred. Fear flashed across their eyes, quickly masked by resolve. Elder Joran spoke again. Then we have little time. If the Dominion comes, they will try to finish what history began. Will you fight beside us, Offworlder? Elias nodded without hesitation. To the last breath. Above Earth, the shadows of approaching war already darkened the sky. The Blood Fawn cut through the void, flanked by a fleet of Drex warships. Varketh stood on his bridge, watching Earth grow larger on the display. His voice carried over the deck like a blade's edge. This is the world that birthed legends, he said. But legends end. We will strike swift, burn deep, and erase humanity before it breathes again. His officers roared in agreement. Weapons charged, targeting grids locked onto the planet below. Back in the underground settlement, alarms blared as surface scouts rushed in. Kayla's voice was sharp with urgency. The sky burns. They're here. Elias's crew exchanged grim looks. Rollin muttered, Guess we're past introductions. Elias turned to Kayla and the council. Then we fight together. Your people have survived the impossible. Now they'll survive this. Kayla's eyes met his, steel hard. Then let them come. Earth is not finished. The council chambers shook with distant thunder as the Drex fleet entered low orbit. Dust rained from the ceiling, and the ground trembled like the heartbeat of a world bracing for war. Elias steadied himself, adrenaline surging. For centuries, Earth had been silent. Now it would speak again, through fire and defiance. The first strike fell from orbit. A Drex cruiser unleashed a plasma barrage that lit the night sky with fire. The ground shook, ancient skyscrapers collapsed into clouds of ash, and screams echoed through the underground chambers. Yet when the dust settled, the survivors did not run. They had lived too long in the shadow of death to cower now. Elias stood in the command chamber, voice sharp over the comms. Artemis, launch defensive grid. Kayla, rally your fighters. If Earth falls tonight, it won't be without a fight. Kayla's eyes burned with a warrior's fury. You'll have every blade, every rifle we own. Above the atmosphere, the Artemis ascended from its hidden landing site, engines roaring. Day directed firing solutions, his hands a blur across the console. Multiple targets incoming, Captain. 6 destroyers, 1 dreadnought. Rollins slammed a lever forward, old engines straining at maximum thrust. She'll hold, sir, but she won't like it. Then we don't give her the chance to complain, Elias replied. On the surface, Earth's defenders flooded out of hidden bunkers. Salvaged cannons fired upward, their rounds crude but deadly accurate. Explosions blossomed against Drex shields. Small strike teams armed with retrofitted drones swarmed the skies, striking with desperate precision. Humanity fought not with numbers but with audacity. Kayla led a ground squad through the ruins, firing at low-altitude skimmers. Her voice carried on open comms. For every stone they take, we give them fire. For every life they steal, we take two. Her people roared in reply, their defiance shaking the ruins louder than the bombardment. On the Bloodfang, Varketh watched the resistance with narrowed eyes. They rise like vermin from the ashes, he snarled. Break them. His second-in-command hesitated. Warlord, they fight with unusual coordination. This is not a dying race. This is an army awakening. Varketh bared his fangs. Then we crush them before they draw their first breath. The battle raged above the planet. The Artemis darted through fire like a predator among giants, smaller but swifter. Elias commanded with clipped precision. Day, target the lead destroyer's ventral arrays. Locked. Fire. The blast ripped through the Drex vessel's weak point, sending it spinning into the atmosphere in a fiery death spiral. The crew erupted in cheers, but Elias kept his tone level. One down. Stay sharp. This is only the beginning. Vela's voice cut in from the science console. Captain, I'm detecting dormant orbital platforms. Pre-collapsed defense grids buried in low orbit. Elias's eyes lit. Can we activate them? Not remotely. Someone needs to interface directly. Elias didn't hesitate. Rollin, prep a drop pod. I'll go. Kayla's voice crackled through comms. You won't go alone. If this world still breathes, its blood must fight beside you. Moments later, Elias and Kayla shot skyward in a reinforced pod, bursting through the atmosphere toward a derelict defense station. They slammed into its docking port, breached the hatch, and entered its silent corridors. Dust floated like ghosts in zero gravity, consoles dark for centuries. Kayla's voice was steady. Can it still work? Elias pulled open a panel, connecting his wrist link to the core. If there's a spark left, I'll light it. The station groaned as power surged. Old reactors flickered alive, dormant weapons aligning with ancient precision. A holographic interface flared before him, demanding a command code. Kayla raised an eyebrow. Do you have it? Elias smiled grimly. Let's hope Earth remembers her children. He keyed in a sequence preserved in his family archives, the last codes of old Earth Fleet Command. The grid responded. Orbital cannons powered up, targeting the Drex fleet. Warning klaxons echoed through the abandoned halls. Elias slammed the activation switch. Earth, wake up! The sky ignited. Dozens of defense platforms roared to life, unleashing streams of plasma fire that carved through the Drex formation. 2 destroyers exploded instantly, a third spiraled into fragments. The tide shifted. On the Bloodfang, Varketha's fury boiled. Impossible. Their world should be ashes. How does it still fight? His officer whispered in awe. Because they never died, Warlord. Varketh snarled. Then I will end them myself. The Bloodfang descended through the clouds, its colossal shadow swallowing the ruins below. Its cannons hammered the surface, carving craters into the earth. Elias and Kayla returned to the Artemis, docking hard as alarms blared. Direct confrontation, Day warned. If we engage, we won't survive long. We don't need long, Elias said. Just enough to prove the point. The Artemis dove straight at the dreadnought, weaving between volleys. The smaller ship darted beneath its massive hull, where shields ran thinner. Rollin forced every ounce of power into engines, while Vela calibrated a focused strike. Ready, she called. Do it, Elias ordered. The blast lanced upward, ripping through the dreadnought's underbelly. The Bloodfang shuddered but did not fall. Varketh appeared on comms, his monstrous face filling the screen. You dare defy me, human? He roared. Elias met his gaze without flinching. We've defied extinction itself. You're just another obstacle. Varketha's laughter was low and cruel. Then come and die. Elias knew what had to be done. He launched a boarding skiff, ramming it into the Bloodfang's hangar. Kayla followed, weapons drawn. Together they carved a path through Drex soldiers until they reached the command bridge. Varketh stood waiting, towering and armored, his claws gleaming. You are the last spark of a dead fire. I will extinguish you myself. Elias raised his rifle, then lowered it, stepping forward with only his blade. Then let's finish this the old way. The duel was brutal. Varketh struck with monstrous strength, each blow shaking Elias's bones. But Elias moved with speed born of desperation and purpose. Kayla provided cover, deflecting Drex soldiers trying to interfere. Finally, Elias drove his blade into Varketha's chest, twisting hard. The warlord's roar echoed through the chamber as he collapsed. The galaxy will fear you again, Varketh rasped before falling silent. With their leader slain, Drex ships broke formation. Coalition reinforcements, alerted by Earth's awakening grid, jumped into the system. The Dominion fled, leaving wreckage burning in orbit. On the surface, survivors emerged from bunkers, staring at the sky lit with victory's glow. Kayla stood beside Elias, bloodied but unbowed. You kept your word. Humanity stands. Elias looked out over the ruins of Earth, now alive with defiance. His voice carried across open comms, broadcast to every ship and settlement within range. This is Earth. Humanity never died. We have returned, and we will never be forgotten again.